What went wrong with the Black Ops Cold War beta? With the beta weekend wrapping up today for Black Ops Cold War, I wanted to make a quick video on what we learned and kind of what we can expect this game to be when it releases in another month. Keep in mind, I'm a PC player, so everything I say is going to be coming from that perspective. So as a Battlefield player, I, and many like me, have been in a bit of a drought with our game of choice lately. Battlefield 5 is mediocre at best, and it's probably just plain bad on average. We need Cold War to be it, to help tide us over until the next BF, which is still more than a year out, most likely. So, enter this beta. I'm not going to lie, the first 2 days of the crossplay beta were rough. The netcode and the servers were complete trash, which lended a lot to the issues that I began to notice starting day 2. Day 1 had a lot of the pleasantries of playing a new game. It was something fresh, and I tend to kind of get swept up in the moment on that kind of stuff, so I was kind of fine with day 1. But day 2, I really started paying more attention, and let's just say it was not pretty. To start, it was almost like I could never really get my settings right. The sensitivity scale, as mentioned in the loading screen on the game, is apparently based off of every other Battlefront or BattleNet shooter, which should equate to a Source or Overwatch engine type of sens, but there's no way that was accurate. They may have intended that to be the case, but I was using an in-game sensitivity of 5 at 400 DPI, which is pretty low in Warzone, prior to playing the Cold War beta. But that same 5 in the Cold War beta was actually incredibly slow, like noticeably slower, just unusable. So the sensitivity though they said it's matched, I don't think it is. And sensitivity isn't the only setting that felt off. ADS FOV seems like it has little to no effect on what you're doing. You can't even see a difference whenever you're using the sights. It just ADS FOV didn't seem like it was working. And it made every single ADS sens feel just goofy, and it's difficult to track moving targets once you're ADS because of that. I noticed many high-level PC players also report the same findings, so I'm not alone on that. No one could really log down any good settings, and everyone was just kind of using best guesses on matching to their preferred settings. So just everything about sensitivity and the way the mouse handles and settings is all just kind of messed up right now. It's just in a weird place. So bad settings, but maybe that's not the end of the world. But if you couple that with the server and netcode issues, you have a pretty good little disaster on your hands. The first 2 days of the beta, between the bad settings and the servers, it was like I couldn't hit anything, which made the game incredibly frustrating to play. I actually described it on Twitter as a chore of a slogfest, whatever that means, but that's how I felt. Hit registration was off to me, and it was almost like enemy hitboxes were not even lined up with the player models. Especially when they were moving, it was like I had to aim very, very far. Like I had to lead targets pretty far to even get hit markers. It was like the hitbox was further than what I was actually seeing on the screen. It was a pretty bad time. And you know what makes it even worse? It's perhaps the most glaring issue with the Cold War beta that I noticed, and it's one that unfortunately they probably aren't going to fix, unlike better server support and some of the balance issues and maybe even the settings they may tweak. But I'm of course talking about the controller aim assist. It was bad in Modern Warfare. It's worse in Cold War. A quick Google search will probably link you to all kinds of clips of just how strong it is. You can see it all over the kill cams too. I mean, controller players that legitimately aren't even aiming at you, and then the aim assist kicks in, and they beam you, and they line their bullets up, and it's lights out. I mean, it was incredibly, incredibly lopsided days 1 and 2, to the point of being completely unfair towards mouse and keyboard players. Like, I was losing almost every gunfight. Some of it was bad aim, but some of it's like, I know I win that. We have to manually do all the work as mouse and keyboard players, which typically is admittedly much, much easier on a mouse and keyboard to do manual aiming that way than it is with a controller. I get that. But the servers were so bad that I was never even certain when I was going to win a 1v1 gunfight, even when I shot first, let alone win a 1vx where I don't even, it's me versus several. There was just no way. As an experiment, I plugged in my Xbox controller and used it, something I haven't done really in almost 10 months, and immediately had better games. I had a positive KD, I think nearly a 2 KD, my first game using an Xbox controller, and I haven't used one in nearly 10 months. And it was just night and day different from using the mouse and keyboard. Baranox, another PC player who quite honestly is one of the best that I've ever seen, he plugged in his controller that he hasn't touched in 5 years and did just fine in game, which should highlight the issues right there. The aim assist is way too strong. It's strong to the point that if you actually attempt to provide input after you ADS on an opponent, it will actually screw with your aim, and you're less likely to get the kill, is what I noticed. It was actually better just to simply center your crosshair with the right stick, then pull the ADS trigger, and then let your thumb completely off the right stick, literally not even hold the right stick or you put any input in at all, and then just fire. And the game does the rest, and you get the kill probably about 70% of the time from what I noticed. That's just plain ridiculous. I have a few other smaller issues as well. They really don't need the vehicles in the larger 12v12 maps. Just give me a 12v12 like domination without the overpowered tanks and like gunboats. I mean, no, get out of here. They just really don't fit in the game. Snipers, of course, need a balance pass. You're seeing that all over the place. Just every single best play at the end of a round is typically a sniper montage. Just add a little bit more flinch to those guys whenever they're getting beamed, and then that would probably fix up those issues. The maps, honestly, across the board are all pretty poor. Cartel has some, just those bushes, they're absolutely ridiculous. They're littering the entire map, and you can't see anything. It's just, it doesn't play very well. The spawns on Armada are pretty bad. The pacing's bad on that one because you're constantly having to spawn in the very back corners, zip line into the main bit, fight, get blindsided, and then ride a zip line back in. You've got gunboats watching the zip lines. Just the pacing on that one's weird because of the spawns. Satellite's okay and kind of gives off Battlefront, Tatooine vibes, so maybe I actually don't hate that one. Miami is weirdly lit, and it's hard to find people, and the sight lines are longer on that one than you would think, but you can't see anybody because of the way the lights are. In fact, visibility kind of in general in the game is pretty poor across the entire beta. I never really liked that I couldn't see people. I mean, you'd have somebody straight in front of you, you couldn't even see them a lot of the times. Crossroads, that game's a meme of just snipers and tank splash damage. I don't like playing that map. I leave every time I can. Moscow may be about the best one of the maps, but it's, again, not really my favorite. I didn't like any of the maps, which is kind of frustrating. Let's see. I also wanted to note that the Dirty Bomb game mode actually feels like it plays completely different to me than the standard multiplayer. It's almost like a different studio built it, much like Firestorm for Battlefield 5. Could Sledgehammer have made that mode before passing the reins to Treyarch? I don't know. Even when the servers were quite poor and I couldn't get a good game in on the standard multiplayer, I switched to the Dirty Bomb and I was just beaming people. Like it was very weird. It was night and day the difference. So I'm curious on why that difference exists. I don't know what that is, but they did feel completely different to me. Like the gunplay just felt different between the two modes. Anyways, I guess that's about it. I'm sure I missed several glaring issues as well. I don't know, this video is kind of getting away from me. I hope you guys enjoyed it, or at least listened to the perspective. What do you think? Do you agree? What did I miss? Do you disagree? Let me know down in the comments below what you think, and if you dug the video, please be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. There's no new Battlefield for a while, so I guess I'm a Call of Duty guy now, which means more videos to come. So I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.